Good luck, high five, friends. Nicholas here with one of my games of the year last year from Simon Games, Ethnos. Now, it's an area control game with a table drafting component, but changes the game up by having several races, including the race of wizards, of which only 6 will be included in any game session. Ethnos is a fantastic game that plays quickly, has some very cutthroat mechanics built in that really up the stakes. Let's have a look. All right, let's get inside the box of Ethnos. We're going to look at the instruction manual, which is just your pretty basic instruction manual, guides you through. It does feature some of the game's art, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but I don't like the art in this game. It does have a little bit of, I can't even think of the word. It does have a little bit of backstory and some of the lore of the game, which is fine. It's generic fantasy though, and the rule summary on the back cover, really great though. The board of the game is a very simple fold out that has a built-in score tracker. You'll notice the game takes place on an island with 6 regions. The tokens in the game are these stackable plastic pastel colored discs, which do in fact stack as advertised. They don't stack particularly well, but again, they're just to denote area control and score trackers. I'm going to give them a pass on the stackability of those tokens. We have different game elements depending on the races that are chosen in the game. A merfolk board, we have these orc boards, a giant token, we have these troll tokens inside. These are all pretty thick, decent cardboard that are going to live up to the test of time. The art on them, again, not outstanding, but nice and thick, really gonna make the game last in your collection. We have the cards in the game, which really should be sleeved. I'm gonna take a quick second here to talk about game inserts. Game inserts that don't allow for cards to be sleeved drive me absolutely crazy. This game falls under that category. You can't sleeve the cards and use the insert at the same time, which is a huge bummer for me because this insert is so well designed. These tokens fit perfectly inside that insert. They stack with the giant token. These orc boards fit perfectly inside this. It all comes together really well, and you can store the game vertically on a shelf, but you can't sleeve the cards. These tokens, again, fit really nice thick cardboard here. You can tell they have a really nice table presence. Each of the game's races, and there are 12, have 12 different cards in their deck. There are going to be 2 from each of the game's 6 regions. So here we have 2 wingfolk from each of the colored regions, and that's going to be the same throughout all of the game's cards. The cards themselves are decent. They're just cards, basic card stock, and will stand up pretty well to the test of time. As you can tell, Ethnos sees play at my game table a lot, and these cards have held up pretty well. So despite the fact that I can't sleeve them and store them at the same time, they're really nice. We also have 3 dragon cards and more race cards, as well as 1 of the race selector cards for each of the races. I'm going to set up a quick game for 4 players, and we'll get right back to how to play in just a second. We've set up for a 4-player game of Ethnos. The first thing that you're going to notice about the game itself is that it is, in fact, ugly as sin. The influence tokens for each player are these sort of pastel hellscape tokens that don't make any sense at all with the actual color theme of the game. We've got toothpaste blue and lemon ice, raspberry bubblegum, and pistachio. White and black are also an option, but those are the only really normal colors of this particular game. When you're setting up, each player is going to take 1 of their influence tokens, and they also don't stack super well. The design was obviously that they're supposed to stack and be able to dominate a region, but they don't. They like sort of fall apart a little bit. The tokens are not great. Each player is going to take 1 of them, place it on the score track at 0 in each one of their colors. The next thing that you're going to do is take all of these score tokens tokens. These tokens are going to dictate how much each region is worth at the end of an age. They range anywhere from 0 points to 10 points, and what you're going to do is put them all face down and shuffle them up and add 3 to each region. The next thing that you're going to notice are the names of these regions are boring and don't really evoke any kind of sense of gameplay. We have Pelagon, Ethnos, Althea, Straton, Rhea, and Duris, which are generic fantasy sort of common region names. However, the thing you're going to do is once each region has 3 of these tokens, you'll flip them over and place them in ascending numerical order from left to right in the regions 1, 2, and 3. So Ethnos happened to just line up perfectly, 0, 4, and 10. We have Pelagon, which is going to be 6, 6, and 8. Althea is going to go 4, 4, 6. Straton is going to be 2, 4, and 8. These are actually pretty nicely curved so far. 6, 8, and 10 for Duris. And here we go, 0, 2, and 2 for Rhea. In every game, these are going to change. So the value of each region is going to be different depending on how these tokens line up. Sometimes you're going to have a region that's actually pretty decently aligned. Rhea might be pretty cheap at the beginning, but really worth taking over at the end. Sometimes you're going to have a really, really garbage region like we drew in this particular game, where you've got just 0, 2, and 2, so nobody's going to pay attention to that region. Once these are set up, we're going to determine which races are going to be used in the game. There are 12 races out of the box. There's an additional race called the Fairies, which are a promo race, which you can get through CMON's website when they're available. They were also available for pickup at Gen Con, but the base game has 12. You're going to choose 6 of them to be played in every game. So in our game, for 4 players, we are going to have the Minotaurs, the Centaurs, the Dwarves, the Trolls, the Merfolk, and the Orcs. Depending on which races are chosen for your game, there's going to be a different setup. There are additional tokens and playmats and everything. So I'm going to get this game set up for a 4-player game with these 6 races. Can I have the green bars of transition, please? So now we're set up for this particular game of Ethnos. How this is going to work is each player is going to accumulate cards throughout the game. Every round, you're going to be picking up cards and playing down bands of either the same race or of the same color/region. When you do, you're going to get points for the size of the band that you lay down. 1 card's not going to be worth any points. If you manage to get 2, it's 1 point, 3 is 3, and so on. So the larger the band you play down, the more points you're going to get for that band. However, as soon as you play a band of cards, you have to take the rest of the cards that don't work in that band and put them out on the table for everybody else to draft from. The other option you're going to have is to draw cards from the table to add into your hand in order to make a band. That's the entire game. It's nice to be able to pick up what other players have put down, so being able to pay attention to what you're picking up, knowing that you might lose it, is absolutely a thing. In this particular game, we have 6 different races. The Dwarves, who are going to allow you to add an additional dwarf for the purposes of scoring at the end of the round. So if you play a band of 3 dwarves, at the end of the round, it's actually going to count as 6 points, not 3. So that's the advantage of the dwarves. The orcs are you're playing a game of, I guess, pseudo bingo or collecting. The more orc bands you play in various colors, the more you're going to be able to add tokens to your board, and then you can cash those out for additional points. Additionally, the merfolk are in this game. They add a whole new board that you're going to be able to add 1 each of your score markers to and progress on the merfolk board. So every time you play a band of merfolk, you're going to move that number of spaces, however large your merfolk band is, on the merfolk board. And the higher you are at the end of each age, the more points you're going to get. And at certain steps along the way on the merfolk board, you're going to be able to add a token anywhere on the map that you want. We have trolls, which when you play a band of trolls, you get that particular troll token. If you play a band of 3 trolls, you're going to get the 3 troll token. The troll tokens allow you to break ties at the end of a round. So if you are tied for control in a region with another player, but you have a higher score troll token than they do, you are going to get the points for that. You're not going to have to split them. The minotaurs are similar to the dwarves. However, they flip the script and they allow you to gain an extra minotaur for the purposes of placing a token on the board, and I'll explain how that works in a second. We also have the centaurs. The centaurs allow you to break the rule that I mentioned earlier of discarding all the cards as soon as you play a band. If you play a band of centaurs and you place a marker somewhere on the board with that band, you then get to play another band out of your hand. So the centaurs allow you to kind of stack up different bands in your hand, play a band of centaurs, get a token on the board, and then play another band right after that, possibly placing another token, but definitely allowing you to ramp up your score. So we've shuffled all 6 of these races into the deck, and what's going to happen is the first thing you're going to do is shuffle these up. So there are 2 race cards of every color for that particular race shuffled together in this deck. What you're then going to do is give every player 1 card and then deal out the number of players times 2 into the center. Now these are going to be the cards that you're going to have available for table drafting, and becomes pretty relevant pretty fast on how many players are in the game. That's 8 cards. How many players are in the game allows you to have more options so that the player who ends up going last in turn order isn't messed up by not having any choices whatsoever. From there, you take the deck, cut it in half roughly. The bottom half gets the 3 dragons shuffled into it. The dragons are the timer for an age. As soon as the 3rd dragon is revealed from the deck, that particular age is over. Nobody else gets to finish their turn. You don't get to finish the round. The game immediately ends for that round. So you take those dragons, you shuffle them up into the bottom half of the deck, and they could be the first 3 cards at the bottom half of the deck. There could be a dragon right at the bottom of the deck, so you're going to get all the way through it. The nice thing about that is it really gives you a sense of tension when you're coming to the first dragon that comes out. You're like, okay, now I know where we're at. We're going to have to start doing it. The second dragon that comes out gets pretty tense because that 3rd dragon could literally be anywhere. So from there, you have to decide, am I ready to play, or should I push my luck a little bit and keep going? On your turn, we're going to start with the toothpaste player. The toothpaste player has a single dwarf in their hand. Their choices are to either pick up 1 card from the top of the deck or 1 card from the available cards in the table draft space. There are no orange cards and no dwarf cards. Oh, there is a dwarf card here. So the player's going to pick up a dwarf card, giving them 2 dwarves. You're going to go around and around like this, each player picking up cards that they particularly want or cards that they're going to hedge their bets for. Again, you can play either bands of the same race or of the same color. This player picked up a troll because it matches the gray pelagon space rather than the dwarf. They're going to be able to play a band of 2. Now the band's scoring matters based on which is the leader of that band. In this case, it would be a troll band of 2, allowing them to pick up the 2 troll token. If they were to flip this, it would be a dwarf band of 2 and would count for 3 points at the end of the age for scoring. You'll go around and around placing bands, getting rid of the rest of your cards back out onto the table. You're going to take these tokens and they're going to get scattered around the different areas on the board. When the 3rd dragon comes out, you immediately stop and you're going to score points for that particular round. You're going to go along the first age. In this case, it's the first age. You're going to flip over the tokens as you score them. In this case, if this is worth 0 points, I don't don't know why it's called Ethnos. Pelagon's worth 6, so if Lemon Ice had 2 tokens in Pelagon, nobody else was there, they're going to get 6 points along the score tracker. Just them. Again, stacking is an issue with these tokens. Stratton, 2 points, they're going to score another 2 points. Pistachio is going to get 0 points for their position in Rhea. Raspberry Bubblegum is going to get 6 points for their position in Duris. And once all of the points have been scored for area control, you're going to get points for your bands. In this case, the Raspberry Ice player has a band of dwarves, which counts as 3, not 2, because they are dwarves. They're going to get 3 points. You go around and around, and once the age is done, you shuffle all the cards back together and re-deal an age, keeping your area control pieces on the board. It's a little bit like Amun-Re for those of you who've played that. The pieces on the board are going to stay, so you get your area control from age to age. That makes these spaces relevant for times when you have Rhea in a situation where it's worth 10 points in the 3rd age, but not a whole lot at the beginning. You maybe want to stack up in that area so that by the end of the 3rd age, you can focus your attention elsewhere, keeping those points for yourself. The things I like about Ethnos is it's really crunchy. It's a lot heavier of a game than it looks like. Yes, you're table drafting, you're playing bands, it's a little bit of area control, but it's nice to be able to focus on what you've got in your hand, what you're able to pick up, what you're going to drop to other players. There's a really delicate balance of, I know I have these cards in my hand. I can only keep 10 cards in my hand, so I've definitely got a timer on when I can draw, when I need to play. But I have all these centaurs in my hand, and if I can just get one more orc, then I can play a band of centaurs, I can play a band of orcs, and I'll score a ton of points. But if I can't find an orc, I'm going to run out of time, and I'm going to dump a ton of cards to the rest of the players on the board who are going to suck those up and take advantage of my misplay onto the table. The variability of the different races allows every game to be totally different. We didn't even see the giants in this game. The race of wizards, which is apparently a race, also plays into the game. So every game is really going to be different, and it plays more players than you'd think a good game like this should be able to have. If you've got a larger play group, you're all going to be able to play Ethnos together, which is a really fun game, despite the fact that it's not particularly attractive. The art on the cards is fine. There's the sort of general fantasy theme, which is okay, but not compelling. The races are fine. The tokens, Maria really likes the color of the tokens. I think they're just kind of boring. They don't stack particularly well, but the gameplay here is phenomenal. I really, really enjoy being able to play a drafting game that has area control, that has a little bit of press your luck. It's a phenomenal game that deserves a place at your table. Ethnos, despite the fact that it's completely unremarkable visually, it's incredibly compelling when playing it, and not only was it my game of the year in 2017, it's going to earn another Good Luck High Five recommendation. Grab it as soon as you can from Simon Games at your local game store.
Good Luck High Five!
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed that video, please hit that sub button and check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com. And please consider becoming a patron of the channel at patreon.com/GLHFmagic and help us keep making reviews, videos, and podcasts for as little as $5 a month. We're also always looking for new games to review, so if you make games or you know a company who does and wants to have their game reviewed on Good Luck High Five, please reach out to us at glhf@goodluckhighfive.com and we'd be happy to take a look. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainNGM, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck, high five.